The views expressed in this blog are hosted on my own website, are strictly personal, and do not reflect the views of any organization. Hello and welcome friends once again to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. Now, a few days ago, Sameer Wankhede, the Narcotics Control Bureau officer and the man in charge of the drugs on the cruise ship case in which Bollywood superstar Shahrukh Khan's son Aryan spent 3 weeks in jail last October, was transferred to Chennai from Mumbai. The transfer comes a few days after the NCB Special Investigation Team re-investigated the drugs case and exonerated Aryan Khan. But while the arrest made all the big national headlines for days on end, the transfer was but a footnote. So it's time to ask the question, who pays the price for a wrongful arrest in a case like this, which by all accounts was poorly handled? Remember, Wankhede was or is a celebrated top NCB officer only a few months ago. I don't know him, nor have I met him, but was informed by a friend in the film industry a few months ago that Wankhede had approached a leading OTT production unit and asked them to make a biopic on him. Please think about it. Here is a government servant asking a private producer to make a biopic on him. In fact, he apparently told the producer that if a film can be made on encounter specialists, then why can't a film be also made on him? This, my friends, is the same person whose shoddy investigation, malified or not, has led to Aryan Khan spending 3 weeks in jail. This is the same person against whom Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik had made serious charges of extortion and other irregularities. Guess what? Within a month or so of those charges being made in the public domain, Malik was jailed in a money laundering case where he is being linked to the underworld don Dawood Ibrahim. It is the same Wankhede who was promising to bust the Bollywood drug mafia, who was calling in Bollywood stars for interrogation and for their alleged links with narcotics. Today, Sameer Wankhede has been transferred to Chennai, but Aryan Khan will have to live with the stigma of being sent to jail on drug charges. I raise this today because I sense that there is an important pattern here, a clear discernible pattern. Whether it is the Narcotics Control Bureau, the Income Tax, or indeed the Enforcement Directorate, there is a growing tendency to make high-profile raids and arrests that rarely end up in successful prosecutions. In February this year, the Supreme Court was informed that of the 1,700 raids and 1569 specific investigations carried out by the Enforcement Directorate since 2011 under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, with the rates of raids and investigations increasing by a whopping 20% and later 30% per year. Guess what? Only 9 people have been convicted. Only 9 convictions out of these thousands of raids and investigations. 9 convictions after more than 3,200 raids and investigations, my friend. That's what it is. 0.001% or even less conviction rate after all the noise that surrounds a raid involving a celebrity in particular. The Centre too has informed the Supreme Court earlier this year that 4,700 cases are being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate and only 313 people, 313, have been arrested for alleged offences under the PMLA since it was enacted in 2002. While 111 cases, for example, were investigated in 2015-16, the number shot up to 981 in 2020-21. So cases are increasing manifold, but arrests are few and convictions are even fewer. The point I seek to make, my friends, is that while the Enforcement Directorate, the Income Tax, the Narcotics Control Bureau raids are increasing, there is no evidence to suggest that they are any more successful in their investigations. In fact, it's just the opposite. Which leads me to the title of today's Straight Bat blog. The process is the punishment. Yes, my friends in India, the harsh reality is that after a raid, the case can drag on for years. It may never even result in a basic charge sheet, but the individual concerned could end up spending endless rounds of the enforcement agency offices, could end up spending lakhs of rupees in hiring lawyers, and will eventually be traumatized for life. The process of just being under investigation is enough to be seen as punishment for an extended period. 10, 15-year-old cases have also not got closure at times. I know of a friend who was raided years ago, whose passport was impounded, who had to do the routine chakkars of all the agency offices for over 5 years now. No charge sheet filed in the case. The officers kept summoning him for every few months, asked him a few incidental questions, and then let him go each time. The officers are protected by the enormous powers that they wield under the law. My friend is not. What if tomorrow, as it appears increasingly likely, my friend is proven fully innocent? Will any of the concerned officers apologize? Will anyone be held accountable? Today, the spotlight is on the Aryan Khan case, but at least he has been exonerated within 6 months, given a clean chit. Now recall the Riya Chakravarti case almost 2 years ago now. Recall how Riya, the actress, was literally hounded and held responsible for the death of her actor boyfriend Sushant Singh Rajput, even though every evidence in the case pointed to suicide. She was eventually arrested in September 2020 by the Narcotics Control Bureau under the Narcotics and Substance Act for alleged sale and possession of drugs. This despite the fact, my friends, that no drugs were found on her, despite the fact that it was by all accounts not she, but the actor Sushant Singh Rajput who was consuming the drugs. And yet it was Riya who had to spend nearly a month in jail. Today her case may seem to have hit a dead end. She's back to acting. And yet no one will dare to even apologize to Riya for the manner in which she was treated, as if she was a criminal who was part of some dangerous international drug cartel. There are many Riyas out there, my friends, who are going through a similar agony, often falsely implicated in cases that drag on for years. Unless you have in this country a fast and transparent method of dealing with such cases and ensuring punishment in the cases of wrongful confinement, the excesses will continue. But why blame only the enforcement agencies? What of the role of the media, especially news TV, in many of such cases? In both the Riya and the Aryan case, many of the news channels chose to put out the most salacious WhatsApp chats fed to them by the investigating agencies, who were trying to influence the case and also titillate the viewers into believing the worst. The investigating agencies knew that most of these WhatsApp chats would hold little evidentiary value. And yet they went about happily leaking these chats, and many of us in the media equally happily carried them, because guess what? Any sensationalism in our industry equals higher TRPs. Today, when we look back, how many in the media would actually be ready to hold their hands up and apologize to a Riya or an Aryan for having subjected them to the worst form of a media trial, to accept that we have reversed the basic principles of jurisprudence by presuming that they were guilty until proven innocent? Samir Wankhede may have been transferred out, but will anyone in the media do a mea culpa? Or will we just simply move on to the next breaking story? the next victim of a media trial. Think about it. That was the Straight Bat. Do of course subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Namaskar, Jai Hind.